Please welcome Michael Berryman to the stage.
Well, thank you for that very much. It's good to see you all. We got a beautiful day outside. We're going to have a lovely ambiance here when that wonderful machine is rolling. Great music. What a nice place to kick back and relax.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for inviting us out. I'm a big supporter of in, indie films, and the marquee theaters all across the country should be preserved. And we should get the little brats to put their phones down and make them come in here and watch a real movie.
Hell yeah.
It's just a thought.
Being in a 97-year-old movie theater.
Oh, we I grew up in Santa Monica. There was a theater called the Aero Theater, and it reminded me totally of uh, what is in the movie Matinee with John Goodman. Come on, it doesn't get any better than that. Or maybe it does.
And the Aero Theater is in Donnie Darko, that theater, if you've seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah. That's the
Cool.
theater they see Evil Dead and Temptation of Christ in, the Aero Theater.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, where do we begin? How about your birthday was just yesterday or a couple days ago?
The day before yesterday, it was just one day, and I woke up, and they told me I was an entire 1 year older. Just not right, I tell you.
How was your birthday?
It was great. We went to our friend's house and invited them over. And my wife made venison and green beans and broccoli. It was great.
How about for dessert? Do you have cake or a cake person or
I'm a pie guy.
pear pie? Yeah, what kind of
I'm
pie?
a pie guy.
This is the food discussion of the the top.
Boysenberry pie is my thing, but I had to settle for dark cherry. It was a tough call.
A la mode?
Yes. Hershey's chocolate, and the other half was uh, dark cherry. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we're here to watch Hills of Eyes. Can you take us back to that time when filming Hills of Eyes a little bit with Wes Craven?
I had just gotten back to. I grew up in Santa Monica. Someday I'll actually grow up, but not now. I had just left a mental institution. I was there for 127 days, and they let me leave. It was called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And after that experience, it was my second film, and I didn't really have much of a film credit. Nobody really knew who I was, so to speak. I went back to Santa Monica and spent my time hanging out with friends, watching old movies, going to the beach, going body surfing because I can't stand on a board. I can boogie board well, but my toes are short, and if I try to stand on a board, it's going to go that way, and I'm going to go that way. But one day I got to body surf with a family of sea otters. That was great. And I didn't think I would have a movie career. I thought it was just a fluke doing Cuckoo's Nest. And then I met a friend, and she said, let's go into business. And we had a little shop in Venice Beach, and I'm still thinking not much is going on. Well, I met a guy who introduced me to a gentleman who became my agent, Lou Dusser. And one day I got a phone call from Lou, and he said, hey, go to Marina Del Rey, and you go to this office, and you're going to meet some people, a producer called Barry Kahn, Peter Locke, and a guy named Wes Craven. I go, oh, okay, what's the address? So I go, and here's these guys, and Wes we were all so much younger then. It wasn't right, I tell you. Anyway, they go, we're going to do a movie based on the McBean family, a bunch of cannibals living in the desert, and it's kind of a homage to, horror movies, but also it's relevant to society. What makes you civilized? If you were in the right circumstances, you could be a murderer. No, well, maybe. So we went out to the desert, and we filmed this silly movie. We had no budget.
How many days was that shoot?
Pardon me?
How many days was that shoot? How many days was it to shoot that movie?
Well, it was about 6 weeks, and then we had some pickup shots. We rolled it, shot in 16 millimeter. Went out just past there's a production line geographically. Once you get past Palmdale, you don't have to have special permits. And so we basically just went out the middle of the desert. This looks good. Uh, Crashed the car and started rolling film. It took about 6 weeks to film it, but a lot happened during those 6 weeks.
Like what?
It was hot in the daytime and really cold at night. Cactus were everywhere. There were snakes that could kill you, really serious snakes. So what happened was, first we had to get our outfits. And a lady who has a master's degree from cultural anthropology from UCLA was our seamstress, and she was making our outfits. So I went in to get my Pluto regalia, and I mean, the teeth that were on my bracelet, she had gotten from a dentist. They were real pulled human teeth. Okay. Everything else was kind of like what a real cannibal, would have. So we go out, we're filming, and over time we all became very, very, very good friends. I'm still in touch with Susan Lanier, played Brenda, and Ruby, Janice Blythe, and we didn't think the film was going to do anything at all, but we had a few accidents here and there. For instance, okay, when the father...
There were happy accidents?
Oh, no, it gets darker. Okay. The father crashes the car because he wants to take a shortcut, silver mine and all of that, snaps the axle, and then he goes to Grandpa Fred's gas station. And that's right about the time when he's trying to hang himself. And the father, here's how it rolls. You know the scene. Get your head out of that noose, you jackass. What are you trying to do? Yeah, you're trespassing. You always try to scare away trespassers by trying to hang yourself. How's your family? They're fine. Like hell they are. There's something you ought to know. Yeah, what's that? Way back in '49, Martha and I had this place. And our baby girl was just beautiful. And then this thing she gave me came out sideways and almost tore poor Martha apart. Accidents started happening all the time. Animals falling in wells. I found a chicken with its head spit off. I came home one day, and the plate was burnt to the cinder. It was burnt to the ground. That little devil, that kid wasn't even since. I knew he'd done it. My little girl, she was burnt to a crisp. So I took a tire iron, and I split his face wide open. Well, how bad was it? Cut. Wes, you can't say it like that. It's making me laugh. How bad was it? It split his face wide. You have to change the dialogue. And now Wes is pretty smart. Here's what Wes told me. Michael? Yes, Wes. What happens next? He goes to pick up the stuff. What's it? Oh, never mind. If you don't remember what happens, it catches you by surprise. And holy shit, you'll see it in a minute. And then it starts. There's no getting away from us. We had a German Shepherd on the movie. There was two. There was Beauty. Of course, she gets killed, but not really. When Beauty gets killed, okay, and you see the gutted dog, that was a real gutted dog. We had to pick it up in post. I got a call from Peter Locke and Wes Craven and Barry Kahn after we'd wrapped the movie. They said, we need a quick shot of a gutted dog. They could have used props, but instead, you know what they did? They found some guy who worked at Long Beach Harbor and says, hey, we found a dog washed up on shore. It drowned. So they drove all the way down to Long Beach, no air conditioning, a bloated dead dog, brought it all the way up to Malibu, found a little spot where we could film it. And I go, I'm not going to gut that dog. So I made Peter Locke and Barry Kahn, our producers, do it. They put garbage bags over their heads, popped out for their arms, and I knew it's bloated. They went to stab it, and it just went. Ooh. And then they cut it open. Of course, they all threw up, and I was just going, "Oh, my check better not bounce. I'm getting paid for today." That truly did happen. And then the German Shepherd Beast, he was the bionic dog from the TV show. Well, at night, he had arthritis, so he would. I would let my German Shepherd, Nishka, she would stand in for him so they could set the cameras and stuff like that. And she loved it. It was a lot of fun. There was a time when we had to have a rattlesnake. Now, there's a place east of LA called Big Bear Lake, and on the north side, you go down past the Wolf Sanctuary, and that's about where we were filming. And there's a real funky-ass bar down there, and it's on Barstow Road, which means, well, if you take the road, it'll take you all the way to Las Vegas through parts of the desert you don't really want to go to. So they went into this last ditch. Jim Jones lived there on a ranch for a while. I used to have a lot of friends in the sheriff's department and stuff, and we called them spooks, but they were good spooks. And so they went to this bar and said, "Hey, we're doing a movie down Old Woman Springs Road. We need a rattlesnake. Anybody got a rattlesnake?" And here's what the reply was: "I'll bring my pet rattlesnake." That's to just give you the idea of the level of professionalism that we had on the set. So he did. He brought this rattlesnake. Well, one day during lunch, it got loose. And I see people jumping out of the way. And I go, "Holy crap. Whoa." And it's not a regular rattlesnake. It's a Mojave green rattlesnake, neuro and muscle. So like a cobra, it'd kill you. So the guy's eating his sandwich and he goes, "Holy crap." And Janice Blythe, played Ruby, went over, did the fork thing like she did, picked it up, showed it to Wes. Wes almost fainted. The guy grabs it, puts it away, and I go, "Dude, what are you? You're a little sick in the head." Now, Janice would in the movie, she does pick up that snake, and that snake is alive and very dangerous. She would not do that scene unless Wes Craven, Peter Locke, and Barry Kahn, our producers, had to do it first. And they did, so she did. And Janice got the part because when they had auditions, they said, "Whoever's playing Ruby, how do we choose?" "Okay, you run across the parking lot and back. Whoever is the fastest gets the part," and she was the fastest. So this was not a major Hollywood production where everything is ooh la la and we have gourmet cooking. Okay.
How did you get into the cannibal mindset on that movie?
Well, actually, I was a butcher at the University of California, and I used to joke how I could dispose of I could turn your body into a sausage in about 12 minutes flat. We had a chain drive guillotine, a buffalo chopper, and all kinds of neat stuff. So I used to hunt. I would not eat for 24 hours, and I would pray to the spirit of the animal. I didn't always kill what I saw. It's healthy food, but my dad was a doctor. I just had to crawl into his skin and be a good Pluto. Arf! I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. What?
How about that stare, that glare on the poster? Could you recreate that glare right now?
Was that in my contract? Yes, it was. Well, angry Pluto, you know. Yes, you look delicious.
Like when you go out, people must recognize you at a grocery store. Or you're just
They do. It's been half a century. Oh my God, it's true. But the best thing about it is, I mean, in the earlier days when Hills Have Eyes was probably more prominent, people go at conventions. They go, "Oh, you don't eat babies, do you?" And after a while, you just sort of go, "Well, they have to be, you got to hang them for a while in the cooler, you know." No, I don't do that. You just make it real. You see, some of the nicest people with the biggest hearts and most humanity you'll ever meet are the people that do scary stuff. Because I remember I I was at an interview, and it was a Morton Downey Jr. show, one of the last ones, and this one woman was saying that people that do horror movies, if somebody copycats any role that you portray, that you should also be prosecuted and incarcerated. And we finally got her to understand that, just like in Matinee and other movies, like the early 50s and 60s sci-fi movies, see, we were told to love the bomb. Well, my dad was at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He was a brain surgeon. And my skull was fused, and they cut it all apart in pieces and put it back together, and they did a good job, because I'm here to tell you today that that happened. See, we grew up to, duck and cover. That's bullshit. That ain't going to help you. I'm not a big fan of the bomb at all. So how do you get that stuff out of your head? Well, you go on a thrill ride, you go on a roller coaster, whoa, that was scary. And momentarily, you're not in the thought process of dealing with life. Are my children going to have a future? The news and all of that stuff. We scare you because it's therapy. And when you get to a certain point, you can laugh at the good shit. Oh, their head blew apart, the brains flew across the room. Yeah, that's kind of funny. What's wrong with you? Nothing. So it's make-believe. But we make it real.
What's the last horror movie that you watched?
The last horror movie I watched was... Well, I watched a... Cannibal Holocaust.
Really? Recently?
Recently. Yeah, well, if you go to YouTube, you can put in genre movies, and it wasn't the whole movie. I knew David very, very well. We were very good friends. But I would not have done the role myself. No. Some people take things a little too far. But as far as a full film, actually, it was The Hills Have Eyes.
What's your favorite movie?
I like Silent Running. I like Man Who Fell to Earth.
What about those two movies? They're both science fiction movies.
Forbidden Planet.
Nice.
Yeah. Solaris. Yeah, those are all really good ones.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there a certain connection between those three, or what about them that you like the most about them?
Well, if you have good stories, good story writing, what intrigues me is not special effects. What intrigues me is the human condition, the humanity in the characters. Are they honest to how they're described? As you lay out the framework of the story, are you going to see any kind of emotional changes or any kind of belief system change in your characters, depending upon what they're being challenged with? I call it humanity rising, but it's not necessarily heroic. A lot of times, people become more self-aware, and then they can reassess where they are at what stage in life, and what systems or belief systems they don't really need to embrace and load themselves up with anymore. And it's okay to leave it here. So the person that walks on that path will pick it up, and that's a new page for them to learn. And then when you don't need that anymore, you put it down for the person behind you, because there's always someone in front of you that's leaving the door open.
We were talking about earlier about your role in X-Files and how you kind of brought. It feels like you bring kind of your personal
Sure.
experience to your roles, and that story around your role. In that.
Yeah, this is a very it's very honest. My when I went to read for the X-Files, in my previous life, previous history, I had spent about 4.5 years with a mother and 3 children. And things were fine. I had other contacts in law enforcement and other areas that could help keep us safe from their father, her ex. And it got to a point where sometimes evil cannot be contained until it presents itself and does a dirty deed. Well, that happened. And it happened because we reached out to uh, the courts, the police, and a particular person made a ruling that uh, our wishes would not be honored, even the children's, and bad things happened. And even the bad person got off stock free because he was a 14, and they wouldn't prosecute him. But his deeds were done on behalf of his dad. So we eventually, the relationship dissolved. We all went our separate ways. But going farther back in my personal history, I always liked heroic roles. So if you're a kid, you're growing up with a difference. I used to do anti-bullying programs for school districts for years and things of that nature. Drug awareness, why people slip off into certain areas. It's escapism, but society doesn't always give us the tools to heal and move on. Sometimes you find that help in the strangest places. Well, my strange place was, how could I didn't blame myself for what happened. It was just tough to deal with. So in order to let it go, I had an opportunity to play a guardian angel where in the beginning they think I'm a scary bad guy. But he gives us life. Owen Jarvis does in the Revelations season 3 episode of the X-Files. And so I walked into the audition, and here's Chris Carter and my director, and here's what I said to them. You're going to see 99 other actors to play this role. You're going to interview them. I see a bunch of people out in the foyer, in the lobby. I know about half of them. They're all very talented. But you're going to hire me. And when we have a break on the set, maybe at dinner or during a lunch break, I'll explain to you what I'm telling you now, exactly why I need this role to heal, and also I'm the one that can give it the best punch. Read it. You're hired. We'll see you in Vancouver. I only have one request, Chris Carter said. And I said, what's that, sir? When you leave this room, from this door to the entrance door, I don't want to hear a peep out of you. I don't want anybody I said, I know. They all deserve a good shot at it. So you can hire them for the next role. And I got to tell you, I walked very quickly through that lobby, and when I got to the outside, I hooped and hollered and got on a payphone before cell phones, called my wife, and I said, honey, I'm going to be in the X-Files. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, kind of saved my life to a certain degree. I let it all go, put it all into that character. And on a funny point, when I'm in the morgue and Scully says, will you smell Mr. Jarvis? I'm laughing. And David comes over and Julian goes, don't you smell the essence of flowers? I learned, and she says the whole dialogue about, I learned in Sunday school that certain incorruptibles have the fragrance of, and blah, blah, blah. And David goes, you mean to say this is St. Owen? Now, this was during the rehearsal, getting the camera and the focus all right. David's face is right here, and everybody's happy. We're getting ready to roll, and I go, David. He goes, what? Mentos. He goes, oh, God, I'm sorry. Yeah, he had onions and garlic for lunch. But they were lovely to work with. They kind of keep their separate spaces because she had her daughter with her. And they're very, very professional, wonderful production, great storytelling. And, when I jump out the window, we were really high up on the second story of that barn. And I literally ran right up to the glass within inches and stopped. And David was terrified that I was going to actually go out the window. And I didn't.
Sounds like a fun time.
It's a lot of fun.
Can you talk about the 20th anniversary of Devil's Rejects?
Sure. What do you want to know?
What was your role? What was it like working with Rob Zombie?
When my manager said, "You're going to do a movie with Rob Zombie," I kind of rolled my eyes. And I know Bill and Kane and everyone, we're all good friends. I go, "Oh, okay." So, yeah, I read the script, met Rob and Sherry. It's all was great. The guy's sharp. He knows what he wants. We, Cleavon is, kind of a comic relief, in between the other scenes. And I decided to play, to play it like the guy's maybe half a brick short, but he functions well. I did have an issue with the guy selling the chickens. It turns into a funny scene, but again, he was a stand-up comedian that hadn't done many movies, and he went off script. If you're going to go off script, you let your actors know. First, you do your first couple takes as it's written. If you're going to go off script, you let your director know. But he's just started going off about the whole, fucking the chicken shit. And that was not in the script. Ken Forey's standing next to me, and Ken's growling at me. He's going, "God, this guy just won't shut the fuck up." And I go, I know. And I look off to the monitor, and there's Rob Zombie, and he's just going, "Oh, God, okay." So what options did this guy leave me? Angry Cleavon. So I went off on him, and they liked it, and they kept it. But in the scene in the house where I have the vacuum cleaner, I have a funny little line about, Star Wars, They're droids. They're called droids. But then he wanted to have the scene where, Cleavon's horny. God, fucker. Really, that's really necessary. So, Sometimes I don't comply. You have to have your artistic integrity. There are, a little aside for if you know anybody who's in this line of work or just life in general. I had a film to shoot in Ohio, and there's a scene where I'm supposed to disrespect this young lady, maybe 20 years old. And she was a brand new actress, had no experience. And they wanted some really unnecessary dialogue and wanted me to camera behind me, and I drop trowel and pull out my, no. So I rewrote the scene for them, and I recorded it on my cassette recorder. And then when I arrived, I said, "Let's go visit the set. I worked the nights. I just want to say hi to everybody." And so I was going to go with an implied situation after the act has happened. So nothing's explicit. So I said, "Look, the camera." I says, "You're not paying me enough, and number two, I wouldn't do it anyway. So what I'll do, I'll just sort of and walk away. Now the camera's on the actress, and what? And she's been devastated. Nothing's explicit. You don't see anything, and now she can act. The audience isn't stupid. They're going to kind of figure out what's going on, and they go, "Oh, we don't want it. We're not doing it that way now. Matter of fact, we want to shoot that scene right now." And I go, "No, you're not. I'm a professional. We have a contract. We're a union. This is my travel day. I don't work on my travel day. And if you would leave the room, please, I would like to talk one-on-one to this young actress." And I pulled her aside and I said, "Look, you realize what they're trying to do. They're trying to take advantage of you. And if you don't stick up for yourself, word gets out, they'll walk, don't do it." And she said, "Thank you." And then I called my agent. He talked to them. I had my entire 2 weeks salary and a check. I was on a plane the next day, flew home. Then one of the ADs called me up, and I said, how'd they roll? "Oh, they wined her and dined her and told her she'd be a movie star and hired." Matter of fact, the director wanted to play my part in the most vile manner. And I said, "See, sometimes you got to walk away. So it's a cautionary tale to a certain degree, and that can happen in any area in life. Because if you don't call the shots, other people call them for you. So, uh, yeah, I don't have any regrets for any scene I've ever done. I'm a guardian angel, man.
Before the Q&A, get some questions ready. You were talking about your role in Guyver.
Screaming Mad George is one of the most talented model makers. I mean, he designed all of the Zonoid outfits. I mean, they were gorgeous. Uh, and it's kind of a sci-fi slapstick comedy action movie. Okay, I'm working with Mark Hamill, and we're downtown LA by the LA River, which is just a flood basin. It's just concrete when water flows to the ocean instead of where you need it. And I heard some gunshots. So I walked over around the corner, and this is around 1 in the morning, and our security officers, 2 LAPD officers, are popping rounds off to the other side of the ravine. And I go, officers, what are you doing? They go, nothing. I go, bullshit. What are you shooting at? I goes, are those dogs you're shooting at? He goes, no, they're harbor rats. They're as big as dogs, but then they handed me the gun. I said, "You want to shoot?" So I just shot some in my head. I don't want to shoot a rat. So I go back, and I see Mark Hamill taking a break. And here's what I say. I say, "Hey, Mark, I hope your career takes off someday. You know, this movie's going to help you a lot." This is after Star Wars. And I had a LA Times full-page ad with a Hills Have Eyes poster. And in a little corner, there's a square that said, "In a galaxy far, far away." So I autograph it and I give it to Mark. And we became good friends. And I go, "Look, I'm famous. I hope this helps you someday become famous." And he says, he's cheesing on it. And then I go, "What's this little galaxy in a far, far away thing? Could that be any good?" And he goes, "Yeah, maybe." So movie sets are like a family get-together. And George, right away, very warm, very enjoying conversation. Got to work with Spice Williams. Oh, she was a hoot. When we were in the van, and I go, this Guyver thing, and she goes, "You never take me anywhere." "Yeah, I know. I want to go on a vacation." Okay. Well, when we're done, we'll go to Brazil. And she goes, "Brazil? Yes, how about that?" And she goes, "Will you take me shopping?" Lisker, of course. "Yeah, sure. Tough guys don't go shopping with girls. Are you kidding?" But
About your transformation scene in that kind of that moment when you go, "Wah!"
well, that was about it. Our stunt doubles were all the same size and morph as us because those were our real bodies. We were cast, full body cast. It's just it's a beautiful, fun film.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I do like I mean, the punching and stuff is almost like biff pow, like out of a comic book.
It's very Power Rangers-y. That
Yeah,
Guyver movie.
and one of my favorite scenes is when the toaster malfunctions. It's in the beginning.
Ready for some questions in the audience? Who's ready?
Yes, Hatman.
Yeah, sure.
When I worked with Ruggiero when we did Cut and Run in Guyana, and that is deep in the Amazon forest. Ruggiero is like a man-child. He's very talented, very passionate, very Italian. He had a troubled childhood. All of his people that work with him throughout the years have known him since he was very young. He has an odd sense of humor. When we were in the boats going upriver, it would rain so hard you couldn't see from here to the back wall, for instance. And we were in the jungle of Guyana, and the spiders were as big as your head. And if you weren't paying attention, he would take an oar, and so the boat would veer off to the right or left, and especially to the women, to where the spider is as big as your head would bounce off their face. He thought that was funny. Um, and he kept pulling stunts like this. I mean, he is talented. He can make it. His movies are beautiful, easy to watch, well choreographed. I got to work with Richard Lynch, wonderful dear friend, very challenged. Richard Lynch is the actor, by the way, that set himself on fire while he was under the influence of LSD in Toronto. Pretty intense gentleman. And he wanted to do a character study of his role. So on a Friday night at the bar at the hotel, Richard had this look on his face, the look of going on an adventure, not telling anybody, but he told me. And I said, Richard, what are you doing? Where are you going? I won't tell anybody. And he's having a drink of rum probably, and he goes, I found out where Mengele is still alive. I said, bullshit. He says, no. I have a guy that's going to take me upriver, and if I'm not back on set on Monday morning, tell everybody I love them very much. Okay. And that was it. Sunday night, he's at the bar. I sit next to him, and I tell the bartender, I'll have a shot of whatever he's drinking. And Richard says, I said, Richard, what happened? And here's what he said. He could have had me killed at any moment. Okay. Then what happened? We drank rum and had a philosophical discussion about the human condition. And we drank until the sun rose. And now I'm back here. I'm sorry, but if you have to method act that freaking hard, you got a problem. But so you asked me what it's like working with him, Gerald. It's art. It's challenging. He gets wonderful talent. I got really upset with him one day, and I picked him up. I was about 208 pounds. I was in great shape. I picked him up, carried him over my head, and I threw him in a river. And I'll tell you why. I had had enough of his spiders in the face and stuff. And he gets out of the river, and he's all mad. He goes, Michael, why you do this to me? And I says, because I was just in the river for 45 minutes, up to my knees in mud, and you never bothered to tell me that that's where electric eels like to hang out. And I asked one of our native guides that there's no piranha. They like the clear water. And for 45 minutes, I'm up to my knees in mud, and I could have been electrocuted in the middle of the Guyana forest and never made it to a hospital. I would have died. And you didn't poke around with sticks to see where they were. And that's why I'm threw him in the river. Okay. Here's how he finishes the story. Michael, you are my most favorite actor. I love you. He does the Italian pinch your cheek thing. And then he goes, look, electric eel. Kill you, it could kill me. It's life, that's how it goes. I go, oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, I guess you got a point. And then when you're done at the end of the day working with Rogero Deodato, you go to the hotel. You wash up. You put on your nice clothes. You go to a huge table with everybody there, cast and crew, all dressed to the nines. And everything is forgotten and forgiven, and it's Italians having a dinner, and it's going to last you an hour and a half. Ciao. You know, it's lovely. You're very welcome, buddy. Great question. Yeah, the Italians are not fascists. They're Italian. They're Italian. But I do know what fanculo. I do know what that means. Oh, okay. Now you got me on Rogero. We did a movie called With the Barbarian Brothers. Yes, they were shooting up with steroids every freaking take. Okay. We're in Rome. Italian money sometimes has organizations that make money to do legal things. You might not want to piss them off. Okay? David and Peter Paul are shooting up, juicing up. They got to be big and pump up, muscle maniacs. I get done doing a wonderful scene with riding an Andalusian horse with Sheba high fashion model from all of Italy. She was the sorceress I worked with on horses that were descendants from the Andalusian horses from Ben-Hur. We're having a wonderful time. David, I go back to the motorhome. David and Peter are out to get ready to do their thing. The foreign press corps is there, and I hear them arguing. They're yelling and screaming. What are they? I get out of the motorhome, and I hear them say they wanted to pump up some more. And it's wasting time. They don't need to, but they're huge. Okay, but they're all jacked up on roids, so you know what they said? I think we're going to kill somebody here. What? So I run up to them. I slap them both in the face, and I go, you apologize right now. We are in a foreign country, and you are way out of control, and you apologize right now to these people. You are jacked up on your juice. And they did. And I said, now you get back to that motorhome. I almost stepped on your syringes. You're a bunch of spoiled little brats, and you're being real piggies. So they each one grabbed me under the elbow and carried me all the way to the motorhome. And I watched like a... Nope, you missed that one. It's tough being you don't want to be a babysitter. You want to be creative. But now it gets really good. We're staying at the Savoia Hotel on Via Veneto, right around the corner from where they invented gelato. Italian food is wonderful. People park cars and go away on summer vacation for up to 2 months, and every single day a cop would come by and write another ticket. I saw a stack of tickets, no joke, an inch thick. And I went to the cop and I go, why bother? Tow it away. Oh, no. We keep track. We told them for 6 months that when they do their registration, they're going to have to pay for all their parking tickets. So they were happy about that. I go, well, you go ahead. Now, across the street is the Coliseum. A lot of weird shit happened at the Coliseum, okay? So I went to the Savoy Hotel, thought I'd have a glass of wonderful wine, and ran into a guy by the name of Burt Lancaster. They were filming the day after. He was great. And I said, well, he said, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I'm off work. I'm going to go over to go cause some trouble over at the Coliseum. He says, oh, okay, good luck. So I went over to the Coliseum, and I followed a whole bunch of tourists. I really did this. And they're explaining the gladiators and the this and that and whatnot. And I go, hey, Sergio, I have a question. And he goes, yes, what is your question? Well, after, eating a bunch of food, going to the vomitorium, and then having some wine and go and watch some gladiators, people killing people, animals stepping on elephants, killing tigers, tigers eating people, and blah, blah, blah. Man, how in the hell do you tidy up? The tourists did not appreciate my candor. We saved up for years to come to the Coliseum, and you just totally bummed my trip. So you know what Sergio says? Oh, great question. You see over there, you see the aqueduct? Yeah, other side of aqueduct, city dump. I'm sorry that some people can't catch a break. So we go on adventures when we travel.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to cause some grief.
What's your favorite Italian meal?
Italian meal?
Yeah, your favorite Italian meal.
Well, I order everything on the menu except for mollusk. You don't just have one. You have a serving of pasta, then you have some salad, then you might have some zuppa, and then dinner is an hour.
Speaking my language, yeah.
Yeah, they feed you, man. And by the way, it's all organic. They don't use pesticides. Makes a difference.
Yeah. Any other questions out there?
Slightly off topic from the movie stuff. I read online that you spent a number of years on the wolf sanctuary.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just curious how that came to be and what that entails, I guess.
I would show you my ink, but I had an owie, so I won't take my jacket off. But years ago, east of LA, there's a mountain called San Bernardino Mountains, Big Bear. And on the north side, when you come down past the cement plant, is a Wolf Mountain Sanctuary. And the lady that started that 60 years ago, very dear friend, Tanya Carloni, and she finds people to have exotic pets illegally. They give them a place to live so they're not put down, basically. So I lived there for a long time. And we let the wolves live out their lives instead of being euthanized. Now, and we learned a lot about. Sometimes we take one of the tame wolves. We take it to a school, teach people about environmental issues, why it's important, and apex predators help keep a balance. Obviously, better than other humans. So. I love living there. The wolves would sometimes, anywhere from 10 to 12, they just start singing for sunrise, sunlight, evening. There's a couple of them that were tame enough I'd go out and lay down with them in the dirt. And we actually used one in a movie called Wolf Ridge in the snow. Tanya's here on the side of a mountain. I'm about 20 yards away, and we released him, and he had to stop where we had a medicine staff. And to make him stop, you don't feed him for a day and a half, and you put a piece of red meat, and he'll stop there. And when he went to where the medicine staff was, it had melted just enough to where when he arrived, it actually pivoted with the eagle feather, which is pretty cool. And then he came to me, but when she released him, she gave me a look like, and she's a Mescalero Apache. She just gave me the look like, and I nodded like, yeah, he could just take off. There's not a damn thing we could do about it. But he stayed with us, the little wolf. And then one day a black Chevy Suburban showed up at the gate, and it was a Secret Service. And I knew about Secret Service because my dad was a world famous brain surgeon, and when Marilyn Monroe was murdered and the Kennedys were murdered, they came to my house, took my dad, doctor, brain, saved him, lived, whatever. So I was familiar with their MO. And Tanya was a retired deputy sheriff. So here comes Secret Service. They roll the window down. I go, sir, who do we have the privilege to meet today? I know who you are. And he said, the president would like to see the wolves. And I go, and which president would that be? And he says, the president of the United States. It was Gerald Ford. And I go, well, I said, absolutely. I said, here comes Tanya now. She's the owner. I'm going to let you in. And they drive in, and I go, I know what your request will be. And he goes, what would that be? And I go, you want to meet everybody on the property, and you want all of our guns in the back of your Suburban. He goes, yes. So they do that. And then Air Force Two landed right outside our gate on a cement pad that used to be the neighbor's house. And out gets Gerald Ford. So he comes in. We show him around. He's in the living room. We have him holding a puppy. We had a male and female wolf puppy, and those two pups were raised to be fearful of humans, guns, anything mechanical. They were we would feed them from raw meat from mouth to mouth. We were their hairless parents. And then they went to a halfway station, and they were the part of the Yellowstone reintroduction program. Very proud to have been a part of that. So, and the agents just stand the whole time while we're talking to the president. So he gets a picture of him holding one of the wolf puppies with a baby bottle, and he actually got out his checkbook and wrote us a check for $200 because it's all you don't make a lot of money doing that, and then and the agents just stand the whole time. So I asked President Ford, I go, Mr. President, he goes, call me Gerald, and I said, Mr. President, I think the press gives you a bad rap. The agents are giving me a funny look, and Ford goes, what do you mean? I said, well, when you got out of Air Force Two, sir, you did not bump your head. And he busted up laughing. The agents are like, well, that's pretty fucking funny. And then I asked him, I said, how's your golf game? And he goes, oh, thanks for asking. It's terrible. He says, but I get lessons from Arnold Palmer. I'm getting better. And then off he went. And that was my president's story. But whatever critter you can help, especially habitat preservation, really, really important. Like, where is it? All the exotic pet trades from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they just ruined Florida. And now there's an animal that kills the snakes. And I mean, humans fuck shit up. But if you want to come to a show like this or watch what we watch, we'd be grounded. We'd be the most well-read, but smartest people I've ever met are at horror film conventions. I've met people in hotels that were not part of the convention. They go, look at these people dressed up all weird in costume. I go, well, here, I'll get you a pass. Walk around. Here, you buy a comic book that your mom threw away when you went to college. Blah blah blah. You get a Barbie. I don't care. These are talk to somebody. Have a conversation. Oh, that's a great costume. There it was. Have a conversation. You're a what? You have a PhD in what? Oh, I'm sorry. You say you're a surgeon? Really? Oh, you're a biochemist engineer? What? Some of the people that come to these shows are readers. They actually turn pages. It's better for your brain. You keep staring at that little thing, you're going to be part of the matrix.
Thank you, Mr. Berryman.
Thank you. Great question. Hatman.
I'll stay right here. Quick question. What was your initial reaction when you learned about the twist of your character from Weird Science? Did you know, like, did they tell you straight up that you were going to come in, wreak havoc, be introduced as like a villain, and then all of a sudden it really changed?
That's a great question. Here's how it came down. When I was in grammar school, I went to school with Red Skelton's family, his son Richard. And we used to go to the house. The parents would do parent things. And I would hang out in Richard's room, read comic books. Red would come in, be a little kid with us. A wonderful, wonderful guy. At the end of his show, Red Skelton used to say, I want to thank you all for our viewing audience for allowing us to be your family's entertainment this evening. Good night for now and God bless. The studio executive said, you can't say God bless. And Red Skelton said, what is the name of the show? Okay, I'm going to say God bless. And then when Richard in, I think it was 5th grade, was terminal with leukemia, Red and his wife and his sister, they wanted to take him on a tour around the world before he was bedridden and died. And the studio said, well, we don't tape shows. It has to be live shows, so we won't have any content. We'll sue you. He said, you go right ahead. Of course, they did not. But see, that's the kind of person Red Skelton was. I had a lot of respect for him. So, as I get to leave at the end of Weird Science, I talk to my director, and he goes, hey, I'm going to focus on you rolling out, and what is this guy's role when he's not in this fantasy world of being a mutant motorcycle guy? And we got to thinking, and we both came up with the idea of, well, these kids are brats. This is a teacher. This is his way, magically, to get back at the kids, teaching them a lesson, maybe, but also just getting back at them because they're brats. So that's how the character came about. And then as I leave, blah, 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 don't want to lose my teaching job, God bless, exit. Now, when I said God bless, I was slightly moving, which means if they tried to cut it out, I would go, so we did that in one take. And I looked at my director and I go, you saw that? He goes, yeah, I saw that. Then I told him what I just told you about, God bless Red Skelton. He says, that works perfect. I says, hey, yeah, and I did it on the move, so you couldn't cut it out. And he says, no, we'll leave it in. And then I went to a couple of reunions, and Michael Anthony Hall, of course, he's all grown up now. He's about 6'2", 190 pounds, looks good in a suit. He's an executive producer now. He's a big wheel. And Wyatt, I just saw him at a reunion last year, just retired from being a high school teacher after 30 years. How is that? It's kind of ironic. But wonderful, wonderful experience. And Chet, God bless him. I told Bill Paxton, I go, you're my favorite whiner. What do you mean, Michael? Game over, man. Aliens. You think they're happy being catatonic in a closet? Yeah. Great smile. What a super, super good guy. And I'm glad that Kelly isn't with the person who likes to slap women around. Not a big fan of that guy. And he knows it. He could kick my ass, but what do I care? Oh, you're very welcome. Great question.
Can you talk about Beastmaster 2 and how you steal the whole movie at the end?
How do I do?
Like when you pop
Oh,
out
I mean the dance, rock and roll.
Yeah, you're like,
Oh yeah,
rock and roll, and the car's there.
yeah. At the very well, the car's a portal through time, and at the very end, the Beastmaster's going. We don't know what it is. It's rock and roll. It's what? Rock. And we start having a good time with that. Um, yeah, Beastmaster is just, it's a lot of fun. But when I lived at the Wolf Sanctuary, we also knew the people that had animals like Gentle Ben, the bear. We knew him. That was the Dos Esso family that lived about 20 minutes from us. And they were handling the animals for Beastmaster. And the Bengal tiger, which is the Exxon tiger, her name is Sheba. And we were filming in dry lake bed. It's hot. I had my Bedouin gown. I could take my robe off. Just had my swimming trunks. And I finished my scene, and they're getting ready to shoot a scene where Mark is running with the tiger. I knew the tiger. And I was sitting in the shade of a water tanker truck with the sprinklers. And I told the driver, I said, make it rain on me. It's like 100 degrees out. Bitching. At this point, Nicky, who's about 5 foot tall, is the handler. He's got a chain leash with a Bengal tiger, and they're walking toward me, and tigers love water. Anyway, I called out to Sheba, and I go, Sheba, and she roared, hey, my buddy, and she starts to da-dun, da-dun. Well, Nicky had to let go, so I got a 400-pound tiger. The leash is flopping, and she's coming right at me, and she throws herself sideways in my lap, rolls on top of me, takes a paw, licked me while we're getting a shower of cool water, and she purred, echoed all the way through me, down to Mother Earth's belly button. Those are special moments. For me, that's what I take back, aside from the artistic endeavor. But rock and roll is just fun and lighthearted. But the tiger made my day. That was so cool. Oh, and when they lick you, I mean, you know. But it was the purr. You tap into that. You'll have moments in your life where something just, keep it close hand, keep it close by. Yeah, pull it out, shake it out a little bit once in a while, and remember it. Don't watch too much news.
Can you talk about your cut scene from The Crow as the skeleton cowboy?
Well, I was a skull cowboy. First night I met Brandon, we went to. He said, "You're not staying in your trailer. You're gonna hang out in my motorhome with me." And he did. He played some stuff on his guitar. We were super jazzed about the story and the scenes where the 3 confrontations of Skull Cowboy and Eric Draven. And there is extra footage on some of the DVDs, and then there's a book called The Making of the Crow. There's a whole chapter devoted to the Skull Cowboy. I got the phone call. He was wonderful. I watched him when he crawled out of the grave and he jumps over the headstone. He was barefoot. I watched his toes adjust for his foot sliding and digging in to launch, so he covered the exact same height and landed the exact same spot. He stayed very athletic, very spiritual guy, just incredible. And I got the phone call that he got shot the night before. I was to fly back and spend 2 weeks of just Brandon Lee and me doing those scenes. And he didn't need to die. The reason he died is because of greed. North Carolina is a union-busting state. After so many weeks of production, by law, the production company can send home a member of the crew. And at this point, it was the armorer, Mr. Baldwin, fucker. So they sent home our expert, hired a local person. And for the rest of their life, they got to realize that they're partly responsible for his death. Same thing with Michael Massey. What really happened, you've probably heard what really happened, and a lot of what never happened. What really happened was the following. Camera, you're the camera, revolver, barrel, holes where there's bullets. You see bullet tips. Those were shell casings, no powder, no primer, plugged, filled with putty or doesn't matter, plastic. The bullet tip, which is, if this is a bullet that's from the brass up, they just cut the tips off and glued them. Okay? Camera sees close up. Now they're getting ready to use the blanks. They ejected. I got 6 shinies. What he didn't look was one of the bullet tips was in a cylinder. You have a revolver, what do? You count to 7. The barrel's 1, the 6 holes are the rest. Take a flashlight, make sure it's clear. Then you put in your blanks, where nothing goes beyond the brass. It's snugged right up behind there. Next mistake, pointing the gun at the actor. I pointed here, you're there. Camera moves this way, looks like I'm pointing at you. That's movie magic. Movie chaos and movie sadness is when you don't follow protocol. And Michael Massey aimed it right at Brandon. So 1, 2, 3 mistakes, our friend dies. That's exactly what happened. Now, when I got off the phone with my director and producer, I got a telephone call. My number is unlisted. I got a phone call from the National Enquirer. Here's how it went. Hey, Michael, you're Michael Berryman. There's 3 Michaels. I have a call sheet. There were 3 actors named Michael, and you're an actor, and you're named Michael. Did you kill Brandon? And I hung up. And I called a friend and went to my friend's bar and had a hangover in the morning. So I'm super strict when it comes to weapons. But the story is delightful. I still keep in touch with Rochelle, the Sarah Monster, and in the movie The Crow. Remember when? Here's 2 sweet moments. Heroin is bad for you. Mother is a name for God in the hearts and lips of all children. He pulls the heroin out of Mother. Then he goes down Sarah's mother. And he's walking past the trick-or-treaters, a nice slow motion, and you see the snow. And then Brandon turns around, looks at them, and there's just a moment of that smile. Those are magical moments. That's acting. That is what is called, because I did this whole thing to Brandon. I said there's something about your dad. It's emotional content. It's like pointing your finger to the star. Do not focus on your finger or you will miss out on all of that celestial glory. The look on Brian's smile on his face when I said that to him was wonderful. We became very close friends, but time was not on our side. So every day's a gift. I'm gonna leave you with a little something. I come up with a lot of isms. Here's one for you. I survived Catholic school. I'm not into religions. Scientology is evil as fuck. They wouldn't even let my dad, who was a world famous brain surgeon, take care of one of his patients. The patient died because they wouldn't let him take care of him. That being said, I tell people to, I suggest, if you have a prayer or a concept or a frame of reference, a border, a contained space, that you put something in there and it dwells there, I hope it has illumination. I hope it has light. And you carry that with you. And when you're in your darkest moments, or even in your highest moments, it's really good to refer back to that space and be grateful. And ladies, here's the easiest beauty treatment I got for you. Wrinkles, frown. 27 muscles makes a frown. Be lazy. Smile. Muscles. 3. True. Look it up. Google it.
Any final thoughts for Hills of Ice before we start the movie?
There will never be a final thought. No, I just hope trip down memory lane and laugh at all the good parts. Okay. And be watching when piss liquor. I'll eat your. What is it? I'll strangle you with your own guts. And I fall to the ground. Be looking for a line in the sand, or that's my mark. Seriously. Oh, and then real quick. We only had one trailer, so we go to chop it up. I pull Brenda off of me. My head comes back, hits the back of the camera. I get a cut in the back of my head. The cameraman gets a black eye. When I go to chop through the divider, the wooden sliver from the divider went right through my hand. What else happened? Oh yeah, and then when the mother gets shot, she had her squib pad and an ace bandage, and when she went back on the couch, she slumped and did this, and the squib went off and ripped her nipple right off her breast. I told Wes, I said, well, you could do a second take. She has another nipple. I didn't say that. She went straight to the hospital.
How is it being mauled by a dog in that movie? What was?
Well, that was movie magic.
What? That wasn't real.
That was
Destroy my dream.
But the intestines. That was a dead dog.
I know the one that's like mauling, like the mall attack scene. Like, was it like a Muppet dog?
Well, no, I was a puppet head on doing the bite. But when the dog is actually, I'm wrestling with the dog. That's a dog. We had a big leather round thing, and his command was to hang on and don't let go. And then I put my hands on either side of the dog, and we practiced wrestling like that. That's how we got that. And then, of course, my death quiver is this. That's Parkinson's. But if you look really carefully, you see those are real human teeth on my bracelet. That's about it. And the guy who plays Mercury, that was our executive producer, Peter Locke. Hey, Pluto. What a goofball. Nice guy. But final thoughts? No, the movie has a life of its own.
How's it being a horror icon?
It pays my mortgage. I'll just be honest with you. I'm very grateful to be able to meet people like yourselves and travel and take care of my family and keep the lights on, all that kind of stuff. I tried this sometime. I Googled myself on 3 different websites, 3 different searches. One says I'm worth 1.3 million, 2 something, and the other one says 3. They're way off. So Google yourself and see what you're worth.
Well, let's enjoy Hills of Eyes.
Pardon me?
Let's enjoy the movie.
Let's do that. And remember, stay on the main road.